This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
20-point underdog might be letting go of the rope here. 81-69, 3:40 left to go in the third quarter, and the Charlotte Hornets trail right now. Took 20.5 with them, so not the greatest start to the second half. They were down by 1 at the break. We'll continue to sweat that out and what's going on in Houston between the Angels and the Astros, but we head out to the Progressive guest line and welcome in Johnny Avello, director of DraftKings Sportsbook and a usual guest here on the program. Johnny, I open up with an unorthodox question, but what does a normal breakfast look like for Johnny Avello? Are eggs involved every once in a while?
Well, every once in a while, mostly it's oatmeal.
Okay. All right. Do you make your own eggs, Johnny?
I do make my own eggs, yeah. I like them over easy. Over easy with some kind of a toast or English muffin or something.
Ooh,
yes.
There we go. I like it. So the reason we asked, Johnny, is Matt Youmans has made what I believe to be his most preposterous statement on this network, that most men could not scramble an egg.
Or don't do it. Even if you say you could do it, do you get in the kitchen and actually make eggs? I don't think that many guys actually do it.
I think a lot of guys rely on their wife or girlfriend or to make them or go out. Yeah, that's the problem. Men are lazy. That's what he's saying.
Okay, all right. That's a different way to look at it. With that, we move on, because what brought this on was I was eating an egg salad sandwich in celebration of what is happening out at Augusta, Georgia for the Masters. So through 2 rounds, you have Justin Rose at the top of the leaderboard, and yet you still have some of the big names holding strong as co-favorites. How do you feel about the first 2 rounds and where you guys stood before the tournament started from a liability standpoint? Johnny, was the first 2 rounds good or bad?
Good so far. We do have some liabilities out there. DeChambeau being one of them. He was coming off the LIV tournament. Others, Colin Morikawa was played. Oberg was played. I'm mentioning guys that are all kind of liabilities for us, some bigger, some smaller. Shane Lowry was one that was played. Rory. All those guys I mentioned, those guys are still in the hunt. So we'll see. We'll see how the next 2 rounds go. But in-game's been great, and why wouldn't it be great? Look at this leaderboard. Look at the way the moves have been. DeChambeau up the ladder. Connor's pretty steady. McIlroy, went down, came back up today with -6. Scheffler steady as a rock. So you got a lot of the big guns right there at the top, and some others not too far behind. So this thing is wide open right now.
How about some of the guys who have egg on their face, Johnny, who are going home for the weekend, like Brooks Koepka, Sergio Garcia? We're seeing a lot of big names that failed to make the cut.
I would never put Sergio Garcia in that category.
I did that purposely because I don't like him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but he doesn't belong. Up there with those names. But Henley was playing well. He didn't play well today. Koepka, you mentioned. Some other guys there. Let's see who else did. Horschel didn't play well. Some of the guys. We had this big hazard on this guy Kent. He's an amateur, and I think he was 2 under after the first 2 holes, and then he faded after that. I know Rahm made the cut. Rahm's good for us.
Barely made the cut. Yep.
Very unusual for Rahm not to be played in a big tournament, but he was not here. So, Spieth not playing too well. A lot of other guys, Zach Johnson not playing too well, and Clark not struggling a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what the next 2 days bring. I think the course will get a little bit tougher. I don't think they'll be shooting these 5 and 6 unders. I think it'll get a little bit tighter. And we'll see how, as the wrench tightens up, we'll see whose hands tighten up.
Yeah, we got a lot of big names at the top of the leaderboard, and we're going to talk about that. Johnny, when was the last time you ate an egg salad sandwich? Because that's what JVT was eating. He swore it was good. It did not look good.
Right.
It's been a while. I don't mind them so much as long as you're light on the mayonnaise, but I probably haven't had an egg salad sandwich in, I don't know, 15, 20 years maybe.
Yeah, there you go. So those are not that popular. JVT, you're trying to pass it off. This is a great sandwich.
Yeah, it's good. Me saying it was a good sandwich doesn't also equate to me thinking it's like one of the best sandwiches ever made.
20 years since Johnny has had an egg salad sandwich. All right, you got big names up here: Bryson DeChambeau, Rory, Scotty, Shane Lowry, Tyrrell Hatton, How is this going to improve? Justin Rose, obviously the leader. How is this going to improve the live betting for the weekend, Johnny? Because you got 2 rounds to go, and we got so many popular players like this. I think it makes live betting that much better, doesn't it?
It's gonna, especially if you get some moves from some of these bottom guys. If Morikawa is going to make a move, Hovland, if you're going to, Matsuyama, those guys are going to be some pretty good prices. So, Schauffele's another one who played pretty good today, and so those guys we could see a lot of play from them. I'm sure Scotty's on his up and down. You know what Scotty does? I figured it out today. What he does. He takes chances in the first 2 rounds to see, what he can do in the last round, if it's doable. That's what he seems to do. That's what he seems to do out there. I don't know. He's a phenomenal player. We'll see if he's going to win this. We're going to see if he's going to have that big day on Sunday. But he's right where he needs to be. It doesn't seem like he ever wants to take the lead until the last day. But he's got some guys up there with him. This is not going to be easy.
Is laying off the pace a little bit, and he does this a lot in tournaments, majors specifically. Scotty, 3 strokes off the lead. I don't think you were in a bad position on Scotty at DraftKings before the tournament. Were you at about plus 450?
We were not. Not that he didn't take bets. It's just that we're not going to be in any liability with a guy that's 450, 5 to 1. So now we could get in a negative liability if they start pounding him in the end game. And we get to Sunday, and he's, 1 or 2 shots behind, and he's still plus $2 or $250. That's when the guys really do fire some pretty big money on him. So we're not out of the woods on him yet, but pre-match and after the first 2 rounds, we're okay.
You say Bryson DeChambeau might be your biggest liability. How high did the odds get on DeChambeau? Did you get around 20 to 25 to 1?
Exactly. That's exactly where he was. So hey, he's won here before. He can hit the ball far. His putting looks to be really good right now. So he's certainly someone to be reckoned with, because he certainly has a big chance to win it.
Yeah, it took him a while, but I think he's figured out Augusta and started to think that, watching him last year. So DeChambeau 1 stroke back at Justin Rose right now. Rory is 2 back. Now, Johnny, last night, a lot of people wanted to write off Rory, say this is not his year, maybe next year. He was even par. Today he goes out, fires a 6-under, and he is 2 back. Did you take much action on Rory in your adjusted odds board on Thursday night, or did bettors kind of give up on him too?
No, he wasn't that high. We did take some money on him, but he wasn't that high. Now remember, he only had on what do you have? Like 1 bad hole yesterday?
2 or 3 down the stretch. I mean, he went from. He went from 4 or 5 under to even par last night, so he kind of blew up on the last 4 holes of the first round.
Yeah, and I still think he's playing good golf, and I think the better sense he's still playing good golf, and they know that, if after day 1, Rory's not a guy that you count out, and whoever did play him yesterday got great prices, because today he's in the plus 3 and a quarter, somewhere in that area. Actually, I think he's our lead. Him and Scheffler are both. I think they're tied at plus 330 for the lead.
Okay, Rory went from 4 under to even yesterday. He doubled 15 and doubled 17, and that's when I think a lot of people felt like he shot his way out of. How about a guy like Corey Connors, kind of a sleeper up there near the top of the leaderboard, tied for 3rd. Shane Lowry at 5 under, tied for 5th. Do you get much action on guys like Connors and Lowry?
Yeah, Connors is a guy, and I'm sure you've bet Connors before. Connors is a guy that's got good game. He just doesn't finish. And so can he finish at Augusta? I don't know. Lowry's been there before. So I always give Lowry a shot. If Lowry's in the mix, I always give him a chance.
Yeah, I'm with you. I did bet Lowry pre-tournament too, I think at 45 to 1. All right, how about Justin Rose? I know Circa got as high as around 140 to 1 on Rose. Did you take much action on him pre-tournament? Would he be a bad result for you if he actually went wire to wire and held on through the weekend?
No, he's really not. He's not a guy that's got us. Now, there was some money on him, but we're not in a bad position with him. He's not someone that always draws a lot of money. He's drawing more money in game than he is pre-game.
What's the wagering handle on this Masters, Johnny, from your perspective at DraftKings? Is it a monster handle this week? Is it more than you expected or not?
Big.
Yeah.
It is. It's big. It's always big. It overshadows any other golf tournament by far. And, the coverage on TV is great. It's on all day. People can watch the tournament in the West Coast, certainly can watch it, and it's over early. And we've got a lot of options. We've got hole-by-hole stuff. So, yeah, this is a big right for us. Like I said, I don't even think the next tournament's even half of this.
Johnny, it's always good to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much for your time today, as always.
You're welcome, guys. Good night.
Johnny Avello, DraftKings Sportsbook Director. Good night, Johnny. Make some eggs in the morning.
He is not going to have an egg salad sandwich before he goes to bed, though.
No. That was good egg salad sandwich. Is there another one back there? I'll take one more. Very good. The pimento cheese is where I kind of draw the line. I don't really like
Oh, you don't like the pimento cheese sandwich?
No, not really.
It sounds disgusting to me, too.
Oh, you never had one? The only time I've had one.
I've had one before.
Okay.
It was disgusting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've only had one. That was last year, and I didn't like it. I'm a cheese guy, but not that much
That's
cheese.
what Super Dave Ross said. If you had $10 to spend at the concession stand, what would you buy? And I said, the $3 pork barbecue sandwich. Give me 3 of them. And then keep the dollar as a tip.
Tell you what, if you had $59 to spend, you could go and check out our VSiN Pro Summer Special. You get access to our betting splits. It's from Circuits, from DraftKings. It's absolutely tremendous. And that includes everything we do until August 1st for less than $60. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe and get started right now.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Take a look around the leagues that are currently in action right now. The proclaimed game of the night by Matt Youmans. Ever since that proclamation, it has been downhill for the Charlotte Hornets. 95-74, Boston up on top with 11:09 left to go in the fourth.
Well, hopefully you can cover. You got 20.5. That was a 1-point game at halftime.
It was. Also, the tankerific Philadelphia 76ers, or as many call them, the top Sixers, because they got to finish inside of the top 6 to get their protected pick. They trail 122-110. So that was also another big dog that got off to a very good start, but ultimately let go of the rope here. So dogs not barking tonight. One is, and that is Orlando in the battle of the backups. They lead 119-95. Also a regret for the evening, considering that we talked about that, the weird in-game market, the fact that the Indiana Pacers, are holding steady as an in-game favorite despite the fact that all their backups were being played, and they are getting whooped. Should also note that the other big favorite, Miami Heat, they're up 71-54 at the break. So the last few days, some of these big dogs have been barking. Tonight, Youmans, not really the case so far. And we do have some of these Western Conference games underway, including what you could argue is the game of the night, Denver and Memphis, as both teams really fighting for their playoff lives. Memphis desperately trying to avoid getting down into the play-in. And also poor little John Morant, because everybody's so mean to him about his guns. They are trailing 4-3 right now. Jamal Murray on the court.
John Morant's now lobbing grenades into the stands.
He's also acting like a victim, which is absolutely ridiculous. Grow up. Like, you got yourself in this position. Stop acting like, I don't know why everybody keeps looking at me. Like,
I'm going to tell you what. I bet you John Morant's not in the kitchen making eggs.
It's the equivalent of me walking in here and going, how could it smell like eggs in here? This is terrible. Whose fault is this? Like, it's mine. I'm downing another egg salad sandwich. Let's, please, be mature adults here. All right, with that, we head out to the Progressive Guest Line once more. John Hasselbauer is with us. You can follow him on Twitter at PGA Tout. Question of the day, John, do you make eggs? Can you make scrambled eggs?
I think that's the only type of egg that I am capable of making. I can scramble an egg.
There we go. See?
I can't poach an egg.
Okay, well, yeah, we don't need to poach. I don't even think Matt knows what poaching
I told
eggs
you
actually
there's no
means.
chance he could poach an egg.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's very true. That was that was where we drew the line.
That.
All right, John. So we have 2 rounds in the books here over at Augusta's. I'll ask the open-ended question, which is just what sticks out the most after the first 2 rounds? What stuck out to you?
A bounce-back performance from Rory. Yep. We thought he was kind of left for dead, and same old Rory, and then he resurged back to the top. So that was exciting to see. I see he is the odds-on favorite or co-favorite now, which is exciting to see. We want to see Rory in contention. We've got Scotty up there, Bryson up there, a bunch of big guns. So really, like, we don't necessarily have our Cinderella story blooming in the same way the kind of March Madness tournament went, but we've got all the big guns at the top. So it's shaping up to be a fun weekend.
John, what indicators, what statistics do you look at tonight when you're trying to handicap this thing headed into the weekend? What are the major points of emphasis for you when you got 2 rounds of data to work with?
Yeah, I think it's always, who hasn't been entirely reliant on the putter, and then, who's maybe getting it done with less ball striking numbers that's due for a better breakout. And, you look at the top of the board and it's Justin Rose, who kind of sticks out next to the other in-form elites at the top, and he's number 1 in strokes game putting. So did manage an under par round today, but I would expect him to kind of shoot something over par either Saturday or Sunday and open this up back to the chasers.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say, Justin Rose was red hot with the putter on Thursday, and you figured that was going to cool off. Do you fully expect him to fade a little bit over the weekend and not win this thing?
I do. I think, it would be a nice story. A veteran like him, he's been in the mix a bunch. He's been the first-round leader 5 times now. Hasn't gotten the green jacket. Would love to see that for Rosie. But, at the end of the day, if we get a Pinehurst Part 2 and it's Rory versus Bryson again, little redemption arc for Rory. There's just so many storylines. So I'm just happy to see good players playing good golf, and hopefully we get a tight finish over the weekend.
John, would that be one where you're actively looking for matchups to play against Rose, or you just think we're probably going to play even par, and it's not really looking to actively fade him?
Yeah, I guess it depends who he's matched up against,
Sure.
But he's definitely the type of player, and he probably will, not get the most advantageous matchup where he is. I think we've seen this play out, this story a lot, where you get out to a hot start and then you kind of just don't sustain it for 4 more rounds. So we'll see how it's priced. But, in general, I'm going to try to sell high on the guys who are, leaning on the putting in the short game.
John Hasselbauer with us, golf writer for the Lines. Follow him at PGA Tout. I believe you've hit 4 futures here in 2025. How many futures did you play before the Masters? How many bets did you have pre-tournament?
For outrights, I really loaded up on Rahm and Morikawa, and then a couple flyers here or there. But I would say my outrights that are not dead at the moment would be both Morikawa and Reed at 3 under. You look at them, and I think 6 under is really the mark right now where Rory is. You try to keep an arm's length away from Rory, and if you're only a few back, you can make up that ground. But yeah, I would say anybody inside the top 12 within 5 of the lead is still live if I was looking to live bet still.
All right, so Justin Rose was a long shot pre-tournament, anywhere around 125 to 1 or 140 in that range. All right, if you did not have any action pre-tournament on any of the guys on the leaderboard, John, who would you bet going into this weekend? Here are the live odds at DraftKings. Bryson and Rory plus 330, Scheffler plus 360, Justin Rose 8 to 1, Corey Connors 12, Lowry 16, Morikawa 19, Hatton 20, Victor Hovland, Ludwig Oberg 28 to 1. Who would you? Let's say I told you could bet 2 guys going into the weekend. Who would you bet?
I actually kind of like Hideki, who I see around 35. He had a great round today. I think he's 3 under. Now, I think that's still in the mix. He can get red hot. He's won here before. He can just get unconscious at times when he's in form, and he wasn't really showing the form leading in. But after seeing him for 2 days, and especially what he did today, he could catch some fire over the weekend. So I'm looking at him as the longest odds, and then it's really that 3-headed monster at the top. I don't really like to bet like a 3 to 1 live bet, but now it's kind of take your pick of Rory, Bryson, Scotty, and if they're all at the same odds, I think I would just hitch my wagon with Rory and hang on to that roller coaster for the entertainment value of it all, because it's going to be fun.
That's what I said. Rory had the 2 doubles on the back on Thursday. You can't throw those out, but if you could, I don't think anybody on the course has played better than him the first 2 days. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's how it should be at Augusta. It should be a player like Rory who capitalizes the most with his driving distance, his just total driving prowess, how he's been shaping the ball with his irons, and just playing Augusta as many times as he has, knowing the experience factor and how you have to navigate these greens. it should be a Rory week. He does have this extra gear that you just want to see him tap into, and he kind of has to get out of his own way. So hopefully there's no more doubles, and if he avoids the blow-ups, you would think that the birdies are going to be there for him on the weekend.
JVT's pumping his fist when you mentioned Hideki Matsuyama. You bet Hideki,
Yep,
right?
I got Hideki.
Still alive with Hideki. John, I always like to ask this question. Who's the biggest flop in your estimation to this point? Is it Brooks Koepka, Tony Finau? Who do you think was the most disappointing player in the first 2 rounds?
Well, I'm most disappointed in John Rahm.
Okay.
And that's maybe a little bit selfish, but also this is a guy who's supposed to be in the pantheon with Rory and Scotty before he went to live. It certainly was a top 3 in the world with him. And when he won this event in 2023, he basically said, hey, I'm right here with these guys. I'm better than them. And this week it was me who showed I was the best player in the world. And ever since he went to live, it's kind of just, we haven't heard from the guy again. So it's a little disappointing. I don't know if it is live related where he's just not used to playing 4 competitive rounds and all the music going on and traveling the world and not playing the most competitive courses or events anymore. Something has gotten to him, and it's a bit disappointing to watch one of the best players of his generation just be a complete non-factor the last 2 Masters.
John, we always appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for having me.
At PGA Tout, you can follow him there. Go to the lines, check out the work as well. John Hasselbauer with us.
Rombo is a big disappointment. I know Wes Reynolds had high hopes for Rombo, and he just hasn't been there, man. He's lost his edge the last couple of years. Brooks Koepka, I think, is the biggest bust.
Money changes a man. You don't have that drive anymore. You know what I mean? Don't have that passion. Wanted to note really quickly, so I'm sweating out this Angels ticket. They did take the lead, 2-1. Against the Astros, Ronald Blanco, but Joe Adele gets caught trying to get to second on a potential double. Problem was he hit it right down the third base line, but it was a little too tight to the stands and careened off the wall, and I think it took a sharp turn that he did not expect. It was not running at full gate, so he gets thrown out at second.
Mike Trout did homer in this game. He's got 6 now in the season.
So, and I remember, I got 66-1 on this man to lead the league in homers. Come on now, Mikey Trout.
Hornets down 24 to the Celtics with 6 minutes to go.
The more interesting one, Memphis Grizzlies up 17-11, now making 19-11 in the first quarter over the Denver Nuggets. We roll on here on VSiN PrimeTime. Not a great start for the home team out in Denver. 27-19, a fast break dunk by Peyton Watson gets him up on the scoreboard to cut the deficit to 8. But right now, this Denver defense having some trouble with John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. Don't think that's entirely surprising because what have we talked about with this Denver team all year long? It has been this defense. So far, an offensive rating for the Memphis Grizzlies of about 130. Oof. Very, very bad defensive rating for the Denver Nuggets as they are currently down by 8 in the early going of that contest. Get some in-game numbers for you too, but that's arguably one of the big games. Again, with this Grizzlies team, if they lose and Golden State wins tonight, they are locked into the play-in. For Denver, they got to clinch a playoff spot with a win and a loss by either the Clippers, Warriors, or Timberwolves. And if that doesn't happen, obviously a Denver loss leads to a bunch of different other outcomes potentially tonight, depending on what happens. But this is a big game in the Western Conference.
Well, it'd be nice if the T-Wolves. Let's see. Hold on here.
T-Wolves right now up 18-13. They are 22.5-point favorites. No total, just got knocked off the board.
It'd be nice, I think, from the Warriors' perspective, if the T-Wolves and the Grizzlies would both lose tonight. Warriors win. Don't the Warriors clinch a playoff spot?
Warriors situation tonight, they clinch a playoff spot with a win and losses by Memphis and Minnesota. So they want Denver to win this thing.
Right.
And they want Minnesota.
It'd be nice if the Nuggets make a comeback here. I need the Grizzlies to go down. T-Wolves are going to have a walk in the park against the Nets, though.
Yep.
So.
For our audience, if you didn't know, Youmans does have a Golden State to make the playoffs ticket -115.
From the All-Star break.
From the All-Star break, yes.
That was up at BetMGM, and I thought that price was too good to refuse.
And it is now -10,000.
Is it 10,000?
Yeah, -10,000. I think, let me double check. Am I misremembering the team here? Hold on. Let's see. It is now, Susie, -6,000. I apologize. Not that much value.
Well, they still might have to win a play-in game.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I said I wouldn't be laying the 6,000 price.
Yes.
I mean, before they lost to the Spurs, couple nights ago, I felt pretty good about the Warriors probably avoiding the play-in.
Right.
You lose that game to the Spurs, now you're putting yourself in a much tougher position.
Honestly, I'm amazed. We didn't really give too much to it. I didn't hear every minute of every show on the network, but those two losses by Minnesota and Golden State, respectively, Minnesota to blow that game to Milwaukee, Golden State to lose that game to the San Antonio Spurs, blow it as well. Those are two of the worst losses you'll see in a playoff race in a long, right? Like in a while. When you're talking about both teams red hot down the stretch, many fancy them sneaky contenders. People have called the Warriors, I think this is Brian Windhorst who initially dubbed them as the true 2 seed in the Western Conference, right? And they blow that game to San Antonio. And Minnesota blows that fourth quarter lead to Milwaukee. And you put yourself in this
Houston's a
situation.
true 2 seed, and I'll tell you why. Because I watched the Rockets play the Warriors a week ago Sunday, and Stephen Curry was held to 3 points. The Rockets locked him down, and Houston definitely looked like the better team in that game. That was in San Francisco.
Yes, it was. Speaking of, I get excited for one reason and one reason only. So as I mentioned to you last week or earlier this week, so we're starting to see some media members put their opinions out there for some of these awards. Do you know? So Kevin O'Connor used to work for The Ringer, now works for Yahoo. I don't know if he officially has a vote. Tom Haberstroh, same thing. Not his career, but in terms of, I don't know if he has a vote or not, but two prominent NBA media members. They released a podcast today naming some of their awards winners. They're Defensive Players of the Year. They agreed on the same player.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Lou Dort.
Amen Thompson.
Okay, well, he's a hell of a defensive player.
He is. Second year wing guard for the Houston Rockets. He is a hell of a defender. This Defensive Player of the Year race.
Especially for a guy who's that young.
Sure.
Typically players who are that young are not great defensive players, but he is.
I was texting our Harvard Handicappers group chat, rest in peace, and wow, come on. Gahanowicz is going to give up a tying run here. He had 2 outs and nobody on. Sorry, I'm sweating now. We're watching this Angels game. 2-2 now, bottom of the 5th. Astros tied up. But this race for Defensive Player of the Year is going to be absolutely incredible because I think it's going to expose quite a few people in terms of do you know ball, right? Because there's not this group think like, hey, thank God I get to just vote for Wemby and chalk this up, right? You have to do some legwork. Go look, watch the games. Do what you're supposed to do as somebody who has a ballot. Or you're just going to be a mouth breather and go for what seems to be
Draymond Green.
The low-hanging fruit. Correct. I can't wait to see how this pans out because now these media members actually had to do some homework, and I can't wait to see who wins it because this is going to be one where I don't think the market is representative of what we're thinking here. I can't wait. And those second and third place votes. So we had I'll give you an example of how different this is looking from person to person. I believe Michael Pena released his. He's also a voter. His top 3, Dyson Daniels, the Great Barrier Thief, number 1. Draymond Green, number 2. Jaren Jackson Jr., number 3. So his top 3, and again, for this award, voters only vote for 3. MVP, you rank 5. For other awards, you just rank your top 3. In his top 3, Daniels, Draymond, JJJ, all in that order, he does not include Amen Thompson, who 2 other media members have said are their first place votes. So this is going to be an incredible race for this award.
Amen Thompson, I'm sure, gained a lot of votes by what he did against Stephen Curry in that game on that Sunday in San Francisco.
1,000%. Because people are going to be desperate.
I was blown away by how tough he was defensively in that game. Stephen Curry, the only shot he made from the field was a 35-footer before the halftime buzzer.
Yep.
He had 3 points. And Thompson was a lockdown defender. I was like, wow, this guy is that's the best singular defensive performance I've seen from a player this season.
Yep. Now I have what I thought to be and still believe to be a dead ticket on Dyson Daniels.
I missed part of the game though because I was in the kitchen scrambling some eggs.
We know that to be not true because you don't have pots or pans, which is also an insane statement in and of itself. But we don't have that much time. We don't have that much time. I would very much like to dive into that as well, but I can only do so much at this point. So my Defensive Player of the Year tickets, I have Lou Dort at 10-1 and Dyson Daniels at 40-1. I bet the Dyson thing, thinking like, all right, this guy's going to start moving around. Maybe we can get something out of this. We'll see. But hey, the fact that somebody's got a first place vote for him, I'm in. Also, I have a dead, Steph Curry 100-1 MVP ticket. Remember that all the way back in October.
I remember at one point, I think you and Tim Murray were all jacked up about the Greek Freak in MVP. Wasn't he 40-1 at one point?
I don't know if all jacked up is a proper term, but I did bet Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Talked him into betting it? Right.
I did. I mean, I just made the point and voted or bet it myself, and I think Tim thought that it sounded smart.
Followed you.
That seems to be true. It did not lead him to the promised land. Did on the Wizards, though, because apparently he bet the Wizards win total under because I told him or convinced him to.
There you go.
How about that?
Okay.
I did
that worked out well.
Broken clock, all that kind of stuff. All right, Angels trying to struggle, at least, struggling to get out of this thing. Runners on first and second again. They had nobody on with 2 outs.
You did not bet first 5.
No,
did
I bet
the full game.
I bet the full game for this one. So I still got some time.
Well, if you bet the Yankees tonight, you're pretty much dead. Bottom of the 5th, Giants up 8-1. So if you took the Yankees plus 4.5 runs, minus 130, that's not looking so hot right now.
Neither is that plus 4.5.
Yankees have 2 hits. That's it. With 1 out in the bottom of the 5th in the Bronx night. That was I think we had heavy rain in the Bronx.
We did.
At one point. I don't know if we still do. How about the White Sox?
But then the New Yorkers, with their tough-minded attitude, looked to the sky and said, hey, cut it out. And then it stopped because just everything happens that way in New York.
The White Sox bombing the Boston Red Sox tonight, 7-1, top of the 7th. White Sox 7 runs on 7 hits. I think that's going to be their top offensive performance this season. White Sox went into tonight 2-10. And actually did score 9 runs against the Twins and 8 runs against the Angels. This is so far their 3rd best offensive game of the season.
Wow. Good for them. Folks, the Masters is underway. And here at our partner, ProfitX, they're offering the best odds all tournament long. ProfitX, a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in 40-plus states, the first of its kind in the United States. You will be able to make your sports picks against other groups of fans rather than against sports books. Exchanges guarantee you the best odds on average by 10 to 20%. You can even request your own odds. Download ProfitX today with code VSiN and earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month. Go to ProfitX today.
Bulls up 85-64. And, the Bulls are kind of in that no man's land where they're making the play-in, barely a playoff team, but they're not bad enough to get a great draft pick and that player that can turn the franchise around. It's kind of the worst place to be.
Yeah. We should also note, if we're updating scores really quickly, with the results that we have here today, we're talking about, of course, what game did we just go final? Bucks and Pistons. Bucks get the win 125-119. That clinches the 6th seed for the Detroit Pistons. So they are locked the F in at number 6. They will take on the 3 seed, currently the New York Knicks, who are 1.5 games up on the Indiana Pacers. So right now, the way the Eastern Conference looks, a 2-7 and a 1-8 matchup yet to be determined, but 3-6 Knicks and Pistons, 4-5 Pacers and Bucks. Knicks-Pistons is going to be a ton of fun. I am very excited to see how that series is going to be priced because got an itching for some Pistons, I'll tell you that much. You like that, huh? All right, when we come back, we continue to look at the association. Got some late-night tips that are about to get started.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Not a good night for your boy, Matt Youmans. Can't all be winners, and it's not going to be the case. Charlotte Hornets getting bludgeoned to death in the 4th quarter by the Boston Celtics. And the Angels, how about that? An absolutely nightmarish bottom of the 5th inning right now for the Angels. I'm going to double-check this. I am quite certain the Angels had 2 outs and nobody on and proceeded to give up 6 runs. Not great.
Maybe the Angels aren't for real. At least
not tonight.
Tonight, the pitching staff is breaking down. How about Tronsky on Twitter? He agrees, says, egg salad sandwiches are disgusting. I will never eat one, make one, or ask a friend to eat one ever. Gross. Nice take, Tronsky. See, we got people out there with a different opinion. Huh?
You don't get to move the goalposts here. That was not the original
That's where
premise
it started.
of this.
That's where the whole thing started. You were eating an egg salad sandwich, and I
delicious.
said, that looks disgusting. And you said, no, it's delicious.
Eggs are great. And I said, eggs are great. And then you said that men do not make eggs. That most men do not make eggs. An update on the poll, by the way.
What's a skewed poll?
How's it a skewed poll?
We don't have enough. We don't have enough votes. I mean, for that poll to be legitimate, you'd have to have at least 1,000 votes. You got to pool men from all over the place.
We're getting there.
Not just a bunch of guys who are taking offense to what I'm saying about scrambling eggs on a Friday night on Twitter. Huh?
The sample size of votes grows, and the ratio does not move in your favor.
It's okay.
441 votes in on Chris Spit Mad Macero's poll. Do you make eggs? Yes, 88.7% of the voters say yes.
David Deneen has not scrambled eggs or made eggs in 30 years. Okay?
The old...
There's another... He didn't vote on the Twitter poll, though.
how do you know?
Deneen, vote on the Twitter poll. We need more votes.
You can't stuff the ballot box, though.
Well, Chris Macero's probably got a bunch of burner accounts where he's voting yes, yes, yes.
You think he's got...
as possible.
You think that he's got the extreme left... egg propaganda machine working in his favor? You think Big Egg is all over this thing?
I don't know.
Stuffing the ballot box.
I don't want to make
him?
this political.
Big Egg coming in and checking in. All right. With that, as Youmans hangs his head in shame with the thought that most men do indeed make eggs and can make scrambled eggs, we do have a couple of games that are going to get started in the late night window in both Major League Baseball and the NBA, but specifically in the association. This is where we get some of these games that do have a little bit more weight to them. Specifically, the 3 games involving the Pacific Division teams. Golden State on the road against Portland is set to tip off here in the next hour. Los Angeles Lakers playing host to the Houston Rockets, set to tip off here in the next hour as well. And then, of course, the Los Angeles Clippers and the Sacramento Kings. Of these games, the 3 that I'm mentioning, the tightest spread. Clippers a 7.5-point favorite on the road, total of 224. All hands on deck for the Los Angeles Clippers tonight as they want to continue to win. And for Golden State, market moving in their favor. It's up to 15.5 now with a total of 222. Do you think the market is looking at the way these big dogs are performing tonight and going, yeah, it might not be the night?
Well, when you're talking about the way the Charlotte Hornets got bombed in the second half, they were down 1 point at halftime, lost by 36. Wow. Let's see, what other big dog has mailed it in?
I think each one of them, right?
Actually, the Sixers, right? They were in it.
The Sixers were in it.
Losing by 14, did not cover.
Yep. And then we have the games that are currently underway right now, which is, let's see, Washington, Chicago. Chicago's up 90-65. They're a 14-point favorite.
Brooklyn's a tough team to bet. Brooklyn closed a 21.5-point dog at Minnesota.
Yep. Right now they're down by 11. Miami, New Orleans, Heat closed 15. They're up 110-72. So tonight, at the very least, the big dogs are not putting up much of a fight, as it is shown. And I don't know if the market just blindly goes, oh, okay, well, the dogs aren't showing up today. Let's go. But this does seem to be a scenario where these bad teams are just kind of quitting. Like, we're done. We don't have anything to play for.
That's actually what I was going to say. Are we going to see a lot of quit in this final weekend in the NBA? A lot of these teams are halfway to Cancun.
I think maybe most of these teams are breaking the huddle with 1, 2, 3 Cancun, it would seem. Like for Miami, for example, I mean, Miami's not that good. For them to be blowing out New Orleans in this fashion, I mean, come on. Show a little bit of fight. Chicago's a pretty good team, but Washington, we saw Washington push Indiana the other night as a 19-point dog. Now we're just sitting here getting smoked 90-64 or 90-66 right now. This seems to be a big, let's just get to the end of the season, please.
You know what you could do? Now, I know the price is really high, and all these teams have got to win. This blew up a couple nights ago with Golden State. Do money line parlay, a bunch of these big favorites against the teams that are quitting and have nothing to play for?
Say again?
Moneyline parlay a bunch of the favorites.
Oh, I mean,
the strategy that worked during the NCAA tournament. Moneyline parlaying the favorites. Would that work on the NBA this weekend?
You could. I know that was a strategy when the lottery odds were flatter and the tanking was more blatant. You could do it, but just these last few days, that is something that I would like. What I like to do on the last day is do that with the teams that like need to win to get in against the teams that don't. Right, put together that like playoff parlay, if you will, and sit back and watch it come in. That I think would be something because they're clearly kind of done here. And these teams are bad too. That's the other part. This is going to be hyperbolic, so I won't say it entirely with my full chest, but I will say it seems that in recent memory, this is one of the wider gaps between the haves and the have-nots that we've seen for a while, especially down the stretch.
Well, I think the Clippers-Kings game tonight is somewhat interesting. How do you handicap it? Because this is a must-win for the Clippers, and what are the Kings going to bring tonight in Sacramento?
Well, it's a must-win for them, too. Because remember, seeding on the line, they don't want to slip to 10.
Money's showing up on the Clippers. Not a lot, but...
I think it's injury report related.
Yeah.
There were some questions as to whether or not, I think it was Norm Powell, who maybe would or wouldn't play here this evening. And like we mentioned, it is all hands on deck for the Clippers as they try to maintain their status. No Nick Batum, no Amir Coffey, oh God. But Ivica Zubac and Norman Powell both had some question marks, and both are available this evening. I think that probably explains why we've moved in that direction. And remember, for the Sacramento Kings, not good news for them as they got the update that Malik Monk would be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So this team's been shorthanded, and they're not a good defensive group. So this is very much looking like a Clippers roll type of scenario. They did scrap with the Spurs the other night, but they still won, and then they rolled the shorthanded Houston Rockets, as we remember when they were playing them and they had nothing to go for. I think that was the game in which Ivica Zubac had his first triple-double. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Maybe Defensive Player of the Year, Ivica Zubac.
You think Defensive Player of the Year should go to Amen Thompson?
I think he is a very solid contender, and if he were to win it, I would have no complaints. I think if Ivica Zubac were to win it, I would have no complaints. I think there's a couple of guys that I would say.
If Draymond won it, you would be complaining, right?
I think there's been worse winners. I just think what would irritate me for Draymond.
To me, Draymond is more media hype when you're talking about.
To me, that's what it kind of is. Like, if Draymond wins, it irritates me a bit in that, again, it's very reminiscent of the Marcus Smart thing a couple of years ago where Robert Williams gets hurt. He was the Defensive Player of the Year that year. He still should have won it, in my opinion.
Right.
But because the Celtics were so good on defense that year and because Robert Williams got hurt, they needed to give it to somebody, and then Marcus Smart started openly campaigning for the award, and it seemed like every media member was like, yeah, sure, let's just give it to him. And he ended up winning you go back, and I think among the Defensive Player of the Year awards, like in history, that's going to be one that really sticks out if you give a rip like I do about Defensive Player of the Year in history and whatnot. And for me, I just don't think that's going to be the case. Like, this was never really a topic of conversation until well after Wembanyama got hurt. It wasn't even after he got hurt. He wasn't even in part of the conversation. It was like a month later when it was like, Draymond. And he puts out the podcast, and he's going on stuff, and he's stunting for himself. I think it's ridiculous, too, because what also irritates me is, like, clearly Kendrick Perkins and him are boys. Kendrick Perkins 2 weeks ago says he's got my vote. I think that's ridiculous that you have decided 2 weeks ago who you're voting for an award.
Well, it's Big Perk. Do you think Big Perk is really studying all the defensive players in the league?
Well, no, but again, I go back to you should, right?
He should, but he's not. You can tell if you ever.
It's insane that you would make up. It's insane that you would make up your mind 2 weeks out, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing. And I think that's
the same way with the MVP.
Sure.
A lot of people had made their mind up months ago that it was going to be, this is SGA's year. He's going to be the MVP this year.
I think it's absolutely insane that that's the case. But that's just me. VSiN.com/subscribe. Summer special is up, folks. $59. Everything we do until August 1st. Check it out now. The daily best bets are sent to your email every single day. You get access to the betting splits data. So that's, of course, both from Circa and from DraftKings. Expert analysis. We've got a lot of great write-ups up on the website at VSiN.com and tons of betting systems provided to you from Steve Makinen and others. If you want to get in on the summer special, go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Less than $60 gets you full access to the website through August 1st.
Rockets-Lakers, late tip tonight in L.A., 7:40 p.m. I see that the biggest, or one of the biggest games on Sunday, Clippers-Warriors, is that going to be the afternoon ABC game?
I believe that is 12:30 ESPN, yeah. Correct. Very much looking forward to that one. It's going to be a good one, yep. All right, we come back. It is our final hour of VSiN Primetime. Sam Coody from behind the counter here at DraftKings joins us, get a look at what the odds makers are thinking for the Masters.